right, each and every one of you, welcome into the Pillow Talk edition of Pugs and Parker, a show that we do every evening here at 9 o'clock. Not every evening. I'm not going to lie to you like that. I'm not gonna tell you we do it every evening. You're going to tune in on a Saturday night at 9 o'clock. You ain't going to get this show. You ain't going to get nothing because we ain't doing it on Saturday night at 9 o'clock. Unless, of course, that coincides with something big and breaking that I feel like I want to jump on and do. No, Pillow Talk, which is what I call this. It's me and Parker. We hang out a little bit. Promise you an hour. We'll give it to you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. Used to be on Sundays too, and sometimes it might be on Sundays again. I just can't promise you. Hey, what do you say? Let's do it. Look who's here. It's Parker
and Iggy.
With Iggy. Let me get a look at Iggy.
Iggy. This is my Iggins. See.
All right. I hate cats, but Iggy looks delicious. I think that's one that I might want to fry up. A little sautéed cat hind quarter. How many cats you got?
2.
You got 2. Okay.
I got 2 kitties.
So you're a cat guy, huh?
I am. I feel like it's kind of rare, especially considering I'm kind of the big dumb animal jock type.
Yes, but you are also extremely cold-hearted, and you are very you're dead inside, and you don't show much emotion. You're not very loving to the outside world, so you do have a few of the character traits that a cat might possess.
Who says look how much I love this kitty? Look at this.
That's true. Yeah.
See, I just love this kitty cat. This is my girl right here.
You know,
see, she loves me right back. See,
like mine's. Yeah, she loves you. Hey, dumb animal. I got a big dumb animal here, and my big dumb animal hates you.
I know.
My big dumb animal tried to bite you.
My scab just went away this week.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Oh, dude, you know how many times I've been bit by a dog or some kind of farm animal?
Well, that's true. You did. Yeah. You're a rural boy, so you know.
If anybody's gonna get bit, you're lucky it's me. I'm like, oh yeah, I got bit by an animal again.
I don't think I've ever been bit by an animal. See, this is the difference between city and country. I don't think I've ever been bit by an animal. I mean,
animals like this is a big deal. I'm like, well, it's not a big dog bites. It's not like I'm going to sue or go to the hospital and make you pay for my urgent care visit. Who gives a rip? If it kind of bubbles up and starts fizzing, maybe I don't know, take some horse paste or something. We're resilient folk, man. We're fine.
All right. Well, God bless you. I love. You watching the? Are you watching the NFL game that is playing out on television as we do this show?
No, I'm not.
Oh my God! It is.
My season's over. It's done.
This is an absolute embarrassment. Yeah, we'll get into that.
What? I just tell Chiefs are just beating the dog snot.
No, it's the Rams are just beating the dog snot out of the Cardinals. The Cardinals look terrible. They look
wow. I wouldn't have guessed that. I would not have guessed that. Are they missing people?
No. Kyler Murray executed what I believe very well could be the dumbest play I've ever seen a quarterback do in my life of watching football. And I've been watching football for decades now. And the minute I saw it about to happen, I went, no, he's not. And yes, he did.
Wow, your description makes me want to see that play really bad.
You know what? Here, let me pull it up for you. Maybe we can.
You think it's already up? It's probably already up, right?
Oh, of course. It's like the worst play ever. It is like the most unbelievably bad, dumb quarterback play. Here, I won't say anything more about it, but I will show it to you. Here, let's see here. All right, here we go. Let me pull it up. I'm sure it's got to be here somewhere.
Well, here, in the meantime, I am Googling Nick Fury from Clovis's comment over here.
Dude, it is the very first one that comes up. Yep.
Okay.
Right. Are you ready for this? You ready for this nonsense?
I just love the description, the dumbest play from a quarterback ever.
And I love Kyler Murray. I really do.
Texas boy.
Yeah, Allen. Hell yeah.
Troy Reader got the hit.
All right, here we go. All right, can you see it?
Okay.
All right, see, first of all, let's break this down. Let's do a little coach talk. He's in a bad position anyway, okay, right? So you got to get rid of the ball quickly here. You can't be, well, even though you're Kyler Wheels Murray and you do have wonderful escapability, you got to get rid of, Cliff Kingsbury, you got to run it up the middle. You got to just get a couple of yards. You got to get some breathing room for your
Bro, this is 3rd and 7. They're going for the first down is what this means.
Oh, is it 3rd? Okay, now I'm looking at it. Yeah, okay. So now that I see it's 3rd and 7, you're pretty much out of choices. Maybe they did that the first couple of times. I don't know. I don't remember. I was just amazed. Okay, I'm just going to let this play out. And remember, I said this is possibly the dumbest play I've ever seen a quarterback execute.
Rams pressure is picked up. Kyler! Did he get rid of it? It's intercepted! It's David Long! Into the end zone!
How fun was that,
touchdown! Troy Reeder!
He tossed it to avoid the safety and ended up throwing a pick six.
Safety for 2. Instead, it's 6. And it's a
Murray,
Rams touchdown!
Murray from Allen, Texas. The pride of Oklahoma.
Just have to know the situation in the game. Troy Reeder's going to come on a pressure.
He showed them.
Edmonds is going to try to block him.
Seriously,
you can't hold the ball if you're
all in
Kyler Murray.
on the
Stand in your
card,
own end zone. You can't pump it like that.
What is he doing?
And then you absolutely can't
First
do
of
that.
all,
and what you
I get why he might want to throw it away, right?
Throw it in the dirt, though, right?
Throw it in the dirt. You don't throw a duck. That was like an underhanded softball pitch. That ball was live for anybody. And, the receivers are running patterns. The defense, they're watching him. So you throw a duck like that, who do you think's got a better chance of coming up with it? A defensive guy who's been spying you the whole time. I feel so bad for the kid. The kid is shitting the bed like never
Like
before.
Dak Prescott, yeah.
This is a battle that we're watching between two Dallas boys. These are 2 Dallas quarterback boys. You got Matthew Stafford, the rich kid. No, Highland Park.
South Lake. Oh, okay. Which one was South Lake Carroll? Which dude was that?
Chase Daniel.
Yes,
But
Chase Daniel.
But he didn't really amount to all that much. Career backup made me.
Well, I got to see Garrett Gilbert take a start for the Saints this season. He was like the Texas high school all-time leader until Kyler Murray blew him out the water.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Yeah, you got Matthew Stafford, who's from right here in the HP, and then you got Kyler Murray, who's from Allen.
Where did Stafford go to college?
Georgia. Is it Georgia?
That's right. Good for him. Well, he's high off of his alma mater's big win.
He is. But I don't like Matthew Stafford. I think that Matthew Stafford is wildly overrated. Now, again, he spent the bulk of his career thus far with the Detroit Lions, and I hate the Detroit Lions.
But that means you've seen him twice a year.
I've seen him a lot, and I've seen him be great, but I've also seen him be not great. I think he's a bit overrated. However, he doesn't look when he's throwing to Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. He's got Sony Michel back there running for, and he's got a defense of Von Miller. He's got Aaron Donald. My God. This is, if they put it together, if the Rams put it together, they are, at the very least on paper, a super scary team. They haven't been scary all season long. They lost the last game. They lost to the 49ers in overtime, which got the 49ers into the playoffs. And, I thought they were going to basically limp into the postseason. No, they are not limping. They are playing well tonight, or the Cardinals are just cursed. The Arizona Cardinals, they did a stat earlier in the game today that I thought was interesting. Hold on, I need a drink.
Yeah, it's one of the few classic teams that were there when the merger happened that still haven't won a Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, they are the original team, right? Because George Halas was deferential.
The Chicago Cardinals are the Cardinal brand, the Cardinal franchise are the original NFL team by a technicality, because George Halas and the owner of the Cardinals at the time hated each other. They were crosstown rivals. They were competing for tickets. They were competing for fans, that whole thing. And George Halas was a very dirty businessman. George Halas did a lot of really awful stuff to the Cardinals. And when they had that meeting in the Canton, Ohio car dealership to create, a league between some of these professional teams, George Halas was told that there was no way that the owner of the Cardinals would show up if it was something that George Halas was doing. So George Halas had to be on his absolute best behavior. He had to be like, I'll be good. I'll be nice to him. And when it came to sign the charter, George Halas had the document in front of him and all the other teams, and George Halas had the pen. As an honorarium, he handed the pen to the owner of his crosstown Cardinals, and they signed first. So they're the first team by 3 seconds. That's it. But they're also, of the big 4 sports leagues in America, they're in the longest championship drought of any of the big 4 sports teams. I mean, it's just embarrassing.
Have they ever won?
1947. Yeah. They won an NFL championship in 1947.
Well, if it wasn't for the Cubs winning that, what was that, 5 years ago, they had it going back to like 1917 or what was it, 1918? When was it?
The Cubs, I think, were 1909, something like that. Yeah,
I just remember because I lost one of my favorite stats in all of sports for the better half of my career has been the last time the Cubs won the World Series, the Ottoman Empire was a thing.
Isn't that fun? That's fun.
Yeah, who looked that up? Yeah, that's a hell of a drought. So that's now owned by the Cardinals.
I like the new one about the Cubs, and that is essentially that the entire world, specifically the United States of America, but the entire world has gone completely in the shitter since the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. Everything that has happened after the Cubs won the World Series in 2016 has been less than great for this country.
Not a coincidence, right? Not a coincidence.
Well, everybody said, it'll be the end of the world when the Cubs win the World Series. And sure enough, at least, we've got a pandemic. We've had divisiveness in this nation. We've had all kinds of terrible, just bad mojo in this country ever since the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. Coincidence? I don't think so. I think it was all somebody's plan, somebody's master plan. All right, so the whole point of today's show, we wanted to do this last night, but we had some internet issues, and then honestly, I don't think that I think we needed a day to get our thoughts formulated about what happened yesterday. Now,
you didn't want to talk to me last night. Last night, I was ready to put Dak Prescott in a wood chipper. Just
like, dude,
just go rent one from Tractor Supply. Don't they rent them?
They do. Yeah. You can get one. I called James and I go, I was having internet issues all weekend, and it seems to be working good. We got the noon show working fine. I've had no problems all day, but I called him and I go, so what do you think? You want to try this? You want to try and do this tonight? And you're like, no, I have no energy for this. So why don't you walk me through it? I'm going to give you the dance floor. Your dance floor, as they say. You are the lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan. I am a carpetbagger Cowboy fan. I am the father of a diehard Cowboy fan. I've been managing emotional horror for the last 24 hours out of my boy. He's only been a fan for 2 years. He thinks this is as bad as it gets. And I'm like, oh, you just sit back and wait, son.
Mm-hmm.
You know nothing.
You wait for a 3-win season. Try that.
Yeah. Well, that would even almost be better, because then you don't have the 16, 17 weeks of expectations where you're getting out. Look, I've got a bit of an existential take on what happened, so I'll delve into that. But I want to hear from you. Give me what happened, James. What happened to your Cowboys?
Well, lucky for me, I'm not such a homer that I can't see what's on paper, and the Cowboys just aren't that good on paper. Of course, they're the best team in the NFC East, and that's the only reason they had the best offense in the league and all these yards and all these points and all these stats is because they were blessed by God that they got to play Washington, Philly, and the Giants twice, because those teams are trash. And so they came in with padded stats and a padded ego, and they don't have a padded roster to back it up. And I even remember saying distinctly on this program last week when we did our preview show, it's all going to come down to the line. If the offensive line can handle the defensive line, the offensive line got killed. They only rushed 4 all day, and they were all up in Dak's grill. Bosa got a big old fat sack when he needed to. There was no running game to speak of. There was a bunch of hurry-ups that kind of caused Dak to throw into a mistake, like that last little interception. I don't want to be like, I called it, but you kind of see it coming. This is kind of what we've come to expect, though. It's not because we're great prognosticators. It's just, who's the star? Who was the star last night that it was going to take us over? Zeke did nothing, but Zeke hadn't carried a game all season. Where's Tony Pollard when you need him? Who had the great play? Amari Cooper had like one good touchdown catch. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, where are you at?
Leighton
Schultz.
Vander Esch had a tackle that stood out. That's about it.
Micah Parsons did what he was supposed to do, and he did his job, and he can just look around at basically the rest of the defense and go, where were you guys? What are y'all doing? And then again, you can't get that mad because they only gave up 23 under a scenario where I kind of expect them to give up 23. So this is more on the offense than the defense. And the offense just did squat. And those points at the end were pretty cosmetic. Like it was, I don't want to say garbage time, but the game was in hand.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree with you there. I think that they made it quite exciting at the end. I don't think it was garbage time. I think that the Cowboy magic was in full effect, and I think that I didn't, but I know that my son did, bought into it. I mean, there were people, you saw the crowd, the crowd was into it, man. They came back in the second half. They made it competitive. There was a good stretch of that second half where I'm looking at the score going, they're going to score a touchdown. They're going to kick an extra point, and they're going to win this game by 1. I truly believe that. And then, Cowboys happened.
I hoped for that. But I also recognize that touchdown they got was on the short field from the interception. It's not like they really put this all great, masterful plan together. I guess it could have happened. It could have happened, but I was never more than 50-50. After I saw like that first quarter, we were doomed. We were absolutely doomed.
Jimmy the Gentleman tried all he could to give that game to the Cowboys. He did.
Yeah.
When we were talking about our prognostications for the show last week, I don't want to say that I thought this was going to happen, but I had to work extra hard not to come off like a Cowboy hater. And I actually listened back to the way we were talking, and I'm like, I called it. I go, you could tell by the way I'm talking about the 49ers, the matchups. I called it. And the one thing that I did say on that night was, Jimmy G is the best hope for the Cowboys. Jimmy G becoming Jimmy G again and throwing a pick in an ill-timed moment or getting sacked or doing whatever it is that Jimmy G does. Jimmy G is an average quarterback. Now, he's lucky to have a truly gifted offensive head coach. Shanahan is a really he is probably, people talk about McVay. Now people are talking about Kingsbury, although I don't know about today. I think that pound for pound, man, Shanahan is the offensive guy. He is of the younger coaches. He's the guy who can make somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo seem like a top 5 pick. And he's not. Jimmy is a serviceable quarterback. If he's got a team around him and he's got a head coach that knows how to scheme and knows how to design plays, he'll be fine. But I thought Garoppolo was going to give it away. I really did, especially after he threw that pick 6.
Well, he didn't, and I think he saved his job.
Well, no, I don't. We'll see. I think. Okay, so
that's a tough one, isn't it? That's a tough one.
Well, it's a tough one because Shanahan wants Lance. They took a quarterback in the first round last year. They wanted.
Why spoil him? Why let him hold a clipboard for a year too? Do him
because
some good. They made Steve Young hold the clipboard behind Joe Montana for a few years.
A different era. They've got a different era. They've got a young quarterback in Lance who is on a rookie quarterback contract. They've got 4 years now to get him for cheap to develop him into something good. And Jimmy G's getting expensive. He's getting to the point in his career where you can get. I don't know what you get for him. I mean, if you traded him, maybe a third. You're not going to get a first-round pick for Jimmy G.
No.
I mean, no.
Well,
maybe a third.
I don't know.
Maybe
Denver might.
No.
Denver's desperate for a quarterback.
No, yeah, and there's a lot of quarterbacks who are going to be free agents. So, they can just Yeah, honestly, I think Mitch Trubisky is going to the Broncos because John Elway has said good things about Trubisky. And I'm like, oh, no, they're going to get Trubisky. Hey, man, I'm telling you, I've watched every game he's played. He was stricken with a terrible head coach. Two playoff appearances in 3 years. Got a couple 10-win seasons. He's not a terrible quarterback. He's got skills. And luckily, he's got no wear and tear on him this year because Josh Allen is a horse. So next year, the free agent market, there's going to be some quarterbacks out there. And I think Trubisky's probably going to end up in Denver. I think he's going to get paid. So good for him. I like Mitchie the Kid. Don't get me started on Mitchie the Kid. He's very maligned. Let's talk about Dak. Where do the Cowboys sit with their $40 million quarterback? What is your take on having Dak Prescott be your Dallas Cowboys quarterback for the next half decade to decade?
Trade him. I'm done.
Get out of here.
Done.
For
Trade
what?
him.
For what? There's nobody in the draft you're going to get. You're just going to end. What are you going to get, Jimmy G? I mean, who are you going to get? Mitch Trubisky? Dak is better than those guys.
What, in the regular season? Dude, that was really bad last night, and I don't know. I don't want to say he's not the same since he came back from his injury.
He had a tremendous season.
He did have a tremendous season, but he made a lot of bad decisions
for the first 10 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and he, I don't even know if he was MVP for the first 10 weeks of the season, because when you look back, we were playing trash. The Cowboys excelled against trash teams.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. I mean, we all got duped by that game against Philadelphia, where they hung 50 on the Eagles, heading into the playoffs. And it was like they tuned up against a Canadian League team. I mean, the Eagles, Cowboy, my poor kid. Cowboys are going to kill it. You see how strong they were? They got it all figured out. They're heading into the playoffs with a head of steam. And I'm like, they beat a bunch of third stringers, dude. They beat a bunch of third stringers who their first stringers aren't any good. Come on.
So the bad decisions by Dak, some of those throws, the errant throws, that crap he lofted up at the end. I'm not going to beat him up for the slide on the last play. It was such a lost cause anyway.
Well, I don't get that play call. Now, I've heard enough people. I mean, there's definitely people on both sides of it. They had just moved the ball 30 yards in 3 plays on sideline passes with the clock ticking down and no timeouts. I don't, from what I understand, it was a Kellen Moore play call, the quarterback draw, and McCarthy signed off on it in the headset. So it wasn't Dak's fault. Dak didn't call that. That was a design play. It was a quarterback draw. The problem comes in when Dak Prescott doesn't know the rules of the NFL, which is you can't just hand the ball back to your center. You got to hand it to a referee who must set the ball. That's why 2-3 seconds ticked off the clock, and they didn't even have time to spike it. Spike 2 seconds on the clock.
He should. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. If they hadn't already squandered all their timeouts because they were in such a hole to begin with, this wouldn't be a problem. If they had not just laid an egg for 2 straight quarters, this wouldn't have been a problem. On the first 3 San Francisco drives, they walked away with the score. A touchdown, a couple field goals. If any of those get stopped, this is, it's not the same. It's not the same game. They'd already done 10,000 things wrong before they got to this point. The act like the game hangs in the balance of this dumb plays. No, it was long. It was over. Look. The last time I had hope.
Shanahan owned his former head coach Dan Quinn in the first half. He owned him. There was nothing that they could do. They couldn't stop the run. The run. The worst thing you want is to have to put the game in the passing arm of Jimmy G. And they avoided that in the first half. And they moved the ball up and down. Now, the red zone was a little bit of problem, so they settled field goals. But whatever. You take the points when you can. But I thought that was interesting because that was one of the matchups that I talked about on Thursday night. Would the former offensive coordinator, Kyle Shanahan, be able to figure out the defensive mindset of his former head coach, Dan Quinn? And it seemed like he did. I mean, 2 guys that went against each other in practice for a couple of years, that's an interesting matchup. And, the score reflected it, but in the first half, it was all Kyle Shanahan.
Well, I'm also down on it, too, because I thought out of the playoff picture, the San Francisco 49ers were probably the Cowboys' best hope of making it to the next round.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was the easiest game possible, and they did so bad in that one.
See, I don't know. I wasn't sleeping on the 49ers because the 49ers were putting it all together. The Rams look absolutely unstoppable tonight, and the 49ers beat the Rams in the last game of the season, and it was a game they both needed. So it wasn't like the Rams trotted out third stringers the way the Philadelphia Eagles did. I mean, the Rams, it was for first place. It was for the division crown. It went to overtime. I mean, it was a hard-fought game, but the 49ers pulled it out. So as soon as I saw that they were able to be competitive this late in the season with a team that we know is good, like the Rams, I went, ooh, this is not a dog here. I know they're giving 3 points coming into Arlington. By the way, some of the most enjoyable tweets on that day watching the Cowboy game were the people just shitting on that stadium.
Why?
Well, as Boomer Esiason said at halftime, you spend $1 billion for a stadium and you design it with an open end to run east and west. What the hell? The sun was blinding everybody. They had the back end, they had the western end of the doors open, so that there was a good 5 minutes in the second quarter when no one could see anything. Like receivers were completely blinded. And then,
can't they put some tint on those windows?
Well, they open the doors. Close the damn doors, Jerry. Your beautiful monolithic stadium is well, they cost my first down. That play.
Yeah, the CeeDee Lamb play.
Yeah, we wide open over the middle, and he was just like, where's the ball? And the ball just went
by his head, yeah.
Yeah. The good news is that the defenders couldn't see the ball either. So there wasn't going to be a pickoff. It was just like, it was like playing in the shadows in the outfield of an old-time Major League Park. It was terrible.
But you're supposed to be smart. You're supposed to know your stadium. You're supposed to call plays around that. And you're supposed to let the visiting team fumble into those screw-ups. And that's one of the home field advantages you're supposed to take advantage of instead of stepping on your own rake.
It was unbelievable. It was, and then a couple of plays later, the Cowboys punt, and the punter hits the board. The ball just dies, and they got to repunt it because that's interference, and you get to down over again. But still, it was just funny.
They're aiming for it. They're aiming for it.
Stadium is just screwing this team's mojo. Everything that is happening it was not a fun watch. Again, full disclosure, I'm a carpetbagging Cowboy fan, so my heart hasn't been stomped on. When I came to this town 20 years ago, the Dallas Cowboys were the worst team in football. You remember those days? Remember the Quincy Carter days? Remember the days, I believe, my first Monday in town, we went out to watch a Monday night football game, and it was the Cowboys versus the Redskins, and both teams were winless. They were both like 0-6. There was like a utility bowl.
I do remember those days, and that's what not having a quarterback looks like when you're in the quarterback carousel, and every franchise has to go through it at some point or another. Even Green Bay is going to have to go through it starting next year.
God, from your mouth to God's ears, my friend.
Because you've had it going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and you cross your division, right?
Well, our boy E, he's a Buffalo Bills diehard, and we were just talking about this the other day about how the situation with his Bills is very similar to the situation with my Bears. We've had to put up with multiple decades now of two Hall of Fame quarterbacks just killing us in the final 2 minutes of the game. He's had the Patriots in his division for the last decade.
19 years of Tom Brady right down your throat.
Yes, and
twice
now,
a year, yeah. With
the exception of Saturday night, it looked like, maybe Mac Jones was going to be the heir apparent to Tom Brady. Now, Mac Jones had a terrible game, so, that didn't really bear out, at least not in the playoffs. So he seems to have come over that hump. But yeah, I got my Bears. I got to look at Aaron Rodgers at least. Well, actually, maybe never again, because Aaron Rodgers is another guy that they say might be heading to Denver. So we'll see. Get him out of Green Bay.
That's what. So he's gone. I think he's going to Denver.
He wins an MVP, which he's probably going to win this year, and he wins a Super Bowl, which, my heart of heart tells me, please God, no. But yeah, probably, because that's a really good team.
I know.
The Packers are a really quietly good team. I can't see him leaving. I can't see him leaving Green Bay if he gets.
Shut up. He's out. He's going to be out, right?
Well, I hope.
Hey, well, did you actually watch the New England and Bills game?
Yes.
Okay, I figured you would because he's the Bills guy.
We went out to a bar, and by halftime, we were all completely crap-faced, and
it was 27-3.
Yeah, it was like we stopped paying attention. We started talking about other things. But go ahead.
I didn't watch the game, but I was kind of checking in on the scores. And so, was it really as bad as it looks?
Yes. Yeah, it was. They couldn't be stopped. The Buffalo Bills could not be stopped on offense, and the New England Patriots could not do anything. And I despise Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots about as much as I can, as a grown man can hate another professional team. And I enjoyed the hell out of every moment of that game. It was so wonderful to see such an arrogant guy like Bill Belichick
right?
Get his humility stomped on national television.
So I thought this was a super important game because after the 19 years of Belichick and Brady leaving, the question is, well, are they going to be able to succeed without each other? Because, it kind of implies that the success was, more Brady's doing than Belichick's doing, and the question was, what if Brady's nothing without Belichick, or what if Belichick's nothing without Brady? Well, we see Brady just went on to win a Super Bowl, and he's well on his way to another one. And Bill Belichick didn't make the playoffs last year, squeaked into the playoffs this year, and got just mud stomped in the first round. So this kind of lends more credence to, all that success in New England. Maybe that was more Brady's doing than Belichick.
My feeling on that is, I mean, I've changed, but for the longest time, I was on this is all Belichick. This is all scheme. This is all offense. This is all a tremendous organization, as much as I hate the Patriots, just a tremendous organization, whether it's acquiring free agencies or hitting in the late round of drafts. The Patriots have done absolutely everything right. And I was a big believer that it was more Belichick than Brady, because I just couldn't wrap my mind around the fact that a guy who went, what did Brady go in the 5th round, the 6th round?
Something like
quarterback, by the way, as a Big Ten fan, I remember Tom Brady at Michigan. He was nothing.
He was a backup to Elvis Gerbach, right?
Yes, he was nothing. He was not anything to be feared. So when Tom Brady broke out as the GOAT, and I begrudgingly give him that honor now because of what he's been able to do without Belichick in Tampa, it took me a very long time to sort of become okay with that. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe that this guy who everybody passed on, who nobody thought, I mean, what, the scouts are full of crap? The scouts really don't know jack. Every time I see a 4th, 5th, 6th round player go into the Hall of Fame, I'm like, scouts suck. Scouts have no idea what they're doing. They're just taking the guys who are on TV the most, the guys who...
Well, look, if they're 90% right, then 10% of the Hall of Fame is going to be full of people that say scouts suck. But like Peyton Manning was totally the doll of the scouts, and he went first pick overall, and he was kind of a
But so was
deal.
Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, I know. So really the question is, how much do they suck? They're probably about 90% right. Or no. They're probably.
Are you kidding me? You're giving them way too much credit. They miss on a lot. I mean, we can run down a list of massive busts.
We should go through. We should go through and see how many people had at least like a 4-year career out of the first round of the last whatever drafts.
Of the go through the last. Okay, maybe we can.
We'd have to go back to like 2015 and be like, how many of these people are still in the league? Period.
All right, hold on. We can do that real quick right now because Wikipedia is a beautiful thing.
Isn't it great? So the 2015 NFL draft.
2015 NFL draft.
Because we'd be going through the people who have just completed their 6th season, and that would be a successful NFL career, even if you're a backup at this point, even if you're not a Hall of Famer. That's a successful. I just realized the caption below me is "Cowboy shit the bed again."
The first pick in the 2015 NFL draft was Jameis Winston.
Oh, God. Winston. No, you know what?
He's had a career.
And he's still the starter in New Orleans. So that's a success. The scouts got it right.
Not a bust. Well,
I have hope for him too, because he did great before he got hurt this season.
I don't know that he's number 1 overall, right? I mean,
well, the weird part is like, what did he just need a new coach? But Bruce Arians is doing fine.
Yeah, well, Bruce Arians is one of these offensive gurus. Second pick in the 2015 draft was Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota. All right, let me just quickly scan. Let me look at the later rounds. Let me see if any names pop up in the later rounds.
Well, that's an impossible job.
No, not really.
Trying to pick the 180th best college player. You think any scout, any human being can really watch enough tape on 180 players?
Yeah, dude. That's what they're paid for. They are paid to hit in the later rounds. The first rounds are supposed to be gimmies. The first couple of rounds should be gimmies. But when you hit in the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th round, and you got somebody who's going to the Hall of Fame, come on now. That's your earning your keep. That's doing the hard work. Yeah, there's a bunch of players. I don't really see anybody that jumps out. Let me see here. We're already in the 4th round. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a few. There's a number. There's nobody worth mentioning. But there are Stephon Diggs taken in the 5th round. How's he working out? How's
Fantastic.
Stephon Diggs on his way to a potential Hall of Fame career. Stephon Diggs, Buffalo Bills. Working out fine. He was a 5th round draft pick, the Minnesota Vikings, number 1. There were the scouts decided that there were 145 better players in that draft than Stephon Diggs.
Yes, but there was one scout for the Minnesota Vikings that saw genius where these other people did not.
Yes, but that one
so
scout.
Doesn't he get credit?
Well, I don't know. He was their 5th round pick. So they took 4 others before him. So no, that's just getting lucky. That's just going.
Maybe they needed a left tackle more.
Maybe. All right, let's see 2016. Okay. So we've got
first pick.
Yeah, first pick in the 2016 draft. That would have been let me see here. All right. Oh, I got a bad feeling on this one. The first pick overall, number 1, the can't miss quarterback in the 2016 draft.
Okay.
Jared Goff, Los Angeles Rams.
Oh.
No, come on.
Oh.
The Detroit Lions are like, we traded Stafford for this guy? This is not good.
It's a successful career. He's been around for 6 years. He's still a starter. And the problem with the Detroit Lions does not start and stop with Jared Goff.
No, but let me tell you, the picks, you could have done better with any of the following 4 picks after Jared Goff was taken number 1.
Okay.
Carson Wentz went number 2 to the Philadelphia Eagles.
He doesn't even have a job right now, does he?
Yeah, he does. He did a really good job. He was great in Indianapolis this year. I mean, not good.
Oh, I thought he was the backup.
No. He was injured. But no, he's their starter.
Okay.
Joey Bosa went number 3 to the San Diego Chargers. Zeke Elliott went number 4 to the Cowboys here. So, Jalen Ramsey, Los Angeles Rams corner, probably one of the best corners in all of football. Ronnie Staley went number 6, probably one of the best offensive tackles in the NFL. Went 7th. No, he went 6th. Let me see anybody else. Yeah. All right. Let's look at the next. Let's see, 2017.
Okay.
All right. So Jared Goff, I'm not saying he's a bust, but I'm saying certainly does not have an NFL resume that would reflect going number 1 overall. All right. 2017. Yeah. Number 1, definitely not a bust. Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett, number 1, dominant defensive end for the Cleveland Browns. Number 2, Mr. Trubisky.
Who was that? Who's that, Mr. Trubisky?
No. Just, come on, you can't miss him.
Man, was it that? That feels like it was so long ago, and you said that's 2017. Yeah. Why does 2017 feel like it was 10 years ago?
Because we're getting older.
Because it was 5 years ago.
It kills me. I look at this. Look, I love Mitchie the Kid, but man, when I see my Chicago Bears taking Mitch Trubisky number 2 in this draft, and then you see Patrick Mahomes going number 10.
Oh,
and then you see Deshaun Watson going number 12. I just can't.
You could have had Mahomes.
No, they didn't want Mahomes. They wanted Trubisky.
Could have had Mahomes.
They wanted Trubisky, and the man who made that decision has been fired. So we will move on.
Hey,
get a new general manager.
So I live in the Tyler area where Mahomes is from. You can go to gas stations and there's Mahomes t-shirts. Like he is a big deal. And there's people that are selling totally illegal stuff at their goofy little coffee shop and gift shop, like it's I feel like I'm walking into David Rose's store from Schitt's Creek,
Yeah,
because I live in a small town and there's like 4 of those downtown. It's like none of these need to exist, but you go in there and there's like an arrowhead and it says Mahomes in the middle. I'm like, I don't think anybody's getting their proper royalties for this. Like I feel like some hicks just made this.
No, of course not.
But they're cute little shirts, man. But they love Mahomes here.
The absolute coolest t-shirt store on the planet pops up in the parking lot of Chicago White Sox games before every game. Some of the most creative and funny t-shirts are sold out of the trunk of cars in that parking lot. Half the cool-ass t-shirts that I've acquired over the last 20 years have been purchased out of dudes' trunks for like $5. Just great. One of my all-time favorites is a white T-shirt with a picture, the iconic front of Wrigley Field. It's just like remember now, this is sold at White Sox Park. So
no, I remember it was in the beginning of Perfect Strangers, the comedy Perfect Strangers.
Yeah, so the big, welcome to Chicago, the Wrigley Field thing, and in the banner,
marquee or whatever,
Field, it said, so it's Wrigley Field being sold in the parking lot of White Sox games. Wrigley Field, and then on the marquee of Wrigley Field, it says America's #1 gay bar.
Oh,
come on now!
What a burn! What a burn to the whole Cub Nation.
Yeah, that's
hey. So Bill has a correction here, but I'm not sure if he's right. He says Drew Henson, not Gerbach.
Yeah,
no. Drew Henson was who Tom Brady was the backup for in New England, right? And when he went down, Brady took over.
No, you're thinking of Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe.
True. Okay.
Drew Henson was a Michigan quarterback. He was a multi-sport athlete. Really good.
And that's who Brady was behind. Was Drew Henson?
I don't know. Maybe the timeline does match up. He might be right. But I thought Gerbach was involved in the whole matriculation of Tom Brady as well. Drew Henson had a cup of coffee with the Dallas Cowboys. I drank with him at a bar once and then played video games. Or actually watched him play video games because I didn't. We went over to after party at someone's apartment. Bunch of hoish girls. We were playing. He was playing some video game. He was a nice guy though. I liked him. A guy that I was living with at the time, one of my roommates was. I went to college with him, so they knew each other from Michigan. But Drew Henson was a bit of a bust. And Drew Henson was supposed to be tremendous. Drew Henson was one of these guys who gave up playing baseball. He was drafted by the New York Yankees. He gave up playing baseball in order to go into the NFL, and he couldn't latch on with a team. And after a year or two, he bombed out with the Cowboys. Remember when the Cowboys had just like a crap ton of bullshit quarterbacks? It was just Drew Henson was.
Dude, it was during the when I was making Cowboy songs, and there was we got Vinny as our new quarterback. Yeah, he's old, but he's not on crack because Quincy Carter was doing coke.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And then if he's hit with too many sacks, Drew Henson can step in and take some snaps.
Your Cowboy songs were magical. Yeah. But yeah, so after a couple of years, when it became obvious that he wasn't going to latch on with an NFL team, Drew Henson then went, I always wanted to play baseball anyway.
Yeah, I was going to do that anyway. Yeah, that's what I wanted. That was my idea.
He didn't make it there either. He didn't, he's probably selling insurance in Ann Arbor now. But God bless him. He was a nice guy, at least for like the 2 hours that I got to spend with him. All right, 2018 NFL draft. James, we're getting into guys that are still.
Well, it's too soon to be grading 2018.
It is. These guys are, well, now that I'm looking at the third overall pick, I don't think it's too soon. However, these are all guys who are still on their rookie deals. Baker Mayfield taken #1 by the Cleveland Browns. Look, the much maligned Baker Mayfield, he's got a bit of a personality because he's in a lot of TV commercials and all that stuff. He's a funny guy, seems to have a good sense of self-deprecation. But I don't know. I don't know if Baker Mayfield is the guy that's going to win the Cleveland Browns a title. Saquon Barkley was taken #2. Saquon Barkley,
that's a good one.
Is it? He can't stay healthy. That's the problem with Saquon. You're right. He is an incredible running back, but he's never healthy. And for running backs, when did running backs in the NFL become the Bic Lighter of athletes? Running backs get discarded just left and right now.
I know. Look, I hate to say rightfully so, but it's because there's so many other good ones that are there to just step in.
But it didn't used to be that way. It used to be that the running back was one of the premier positions in the NFL. And now it's one of the least important positions in the NFL because you can pick up a running back in the 5th round who's going to run you he's going to get you 1,000 yards in a season. Saquon Barkley going #2 overall. I mean, he was so dominant at Penn State. I don't know how you don't take him high, but man, that poor kid, he's just been banged up his entire career. Sam Darnold went #3. I think we can judge Sam.
We're done with him. Yeah,
a bit of a bust. All right, and number seven in that, one of the best quarterbacks in football, Josh Allen, went #7 to the Buffalo Bills. So somebody thought that Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold were better than Josh Allen. And then you got Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen went #10 to the Arizona Cardinals. Now that's a bust. Now Josh Rosen is a bust. Went to the Cardinals with the 10th overall pick. He played there for like 1 year. 1 year. He was a rookie. And then they went, yeah, we're going to draft Kyler Murray this year. So the guy we drafted.
Oh, man, you're right. You're right. That's brutal. He got killed in 1 year.
Got killed off in 1 year. He went down to Miami. I don't know where he is now. I think, where is Josh? I don't know.
He's folding T-shirts at the Baby Gap is what he's doing.
Maybe next year. He was in the league this year, but I don't know. I don't know where he's going to. I don't know if he's going to be on a team or a roster next year.
That's brutal.
Although I'll tell you, man, second or third string quarterback in the NFL is one of the great gigs in all the world.
Oh, yeah.
Holding a clipboard for a couple million a year. Sign me up for that shit. That is a gig. Here we go. 2019, number 1 pick overall, Kyler Murray. I think Kyler's a tremendous talent, although not so much tonight. Not so much in his first playoff. Wait, is this his first playoff appearance? I don't know if he was in there last year.
He's been pretty amazing. I don't know. It's hard to condemn someone who's only been in the league that long. And plus, anybody who makes it past 2 years or 3 years is a successful career based on the averages.
I agree with you. I think that he's amazing. But can I please just remind you of the play Kyler Murray executed earlier in the game? May I direct your attention to the video board? Wah. Oh, my God. I hate it because I love the kid. I really do. I love Kyler Murray. I just hate that. Yikes. Nick Bosa went number 2 overall in 2019 to the San Francisco 49ers.
What a great pick. Great.
Terrific pick. Yeah, absolutely. Dominant guy.
Killed the Cowboys yesterday. Just there's not stats for how many plays he interrupted and how many times a guy was about to run the ball. And even though Nick Bosa didn't get the tackle, he at least redirected the play or stopped the momentum, or there was just a lot of that. And that's exactly what Micah Parsons was doing last night too. There's no stat for how awesome he was and how many plays he disrupted.
If I had told you on Thursday when we were talking about Bosa and Armstead and Freddie Turner and all Buda Baker, or not Buda Baker, I'm sorry, God, that was if I had told you that Nick Bosa would miss the entire second half, wouldn't you have thought that, now it's a Cowboy lock? No,
yes, I would have. I would have. Yes, that's a fair point.
He was pretty frightening in the first half. 2020 draft. Let's see here. Cincinnati Bengals took Joe Burrow out of LSU. I think it's official. I think Joe Burrow's a baller. I think Joe Burrow's Joe Burrow has got his team in the playoffs, looking mean, looking hungry. The Bengals benefited from some pretty bad referee calls on Saturday night. But the Bengals, the combination of Joe Burrow throwing to Chase, his old
Jamar Chase, right,
is just beautiful. It is just absolute magic. They went out, they said, who do you want us to take in the draft? And he said, the guy that I threw all those touchdowns to in college. And they just picked up where they left off. It is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's funny because the next season when LSU was doing nothing, Jamar Chase just pulled up his wheels after like 8 games, and he's like, I'm not playing another damn down. Right? Like he was already in NFL mode, and he's like, I'm not risking an injury. I'm going to the NFL. I'm going to try and go play with my buddy. And it's working out great.
Those are the draft choices from 2015. I don't think it would be fair to measure the NFL success of the 2021 draft class.
Definitely too soon.
Not fair. I mean, because we're talking about Justin Fields. It's not fair. You can't leave him alone. You're talking about, quarterbacks like Trey Lance. Although Mac Jones seems to have, been all right. But again, benefits from people like Josh McDaniel and Bill Belichick there in Boston. Trevor Lawrence, you can't judge Trevor Lawrence yet. You can't. Zach Wilson with the Jets, you can't judge him. You can't judge any of them yet. It's too soon. We'll circle back in 3 years. Remind me.
All right. I sent you the Cowboys theme from 2004.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
The little piece of audio. Is this the old one? The one that let's give it a listen, shall we?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
I'm not necessarily proud of my work from 18 years ago. Remember, I was younger, dumber, and less talented and less experienced then.
We got Vinny as a new quarterback. Yeah, he's old, but he's not on crack. And if he's hit with too many sacks, Drew Henson can step in and take some snaps. Big Tuna's got the genius plays, mad strategies, and as for days, he's a mad scientist and he's getting paid. And if the Cowboys win, everyone's getting laid. No more getting caught with horse. No more losing like my man Al Gore. No more Eagles running up the score, cause the Cowboys don't suck anymore. Yo, DC can eat me, Philly too, and the whack-ass Giants need to get a clue. It'll be February before we're through, and Rumble might even play a game or two. Roy Williams drops bombs like we
Boy,
did
that didn't age well.
That win is the baddest man from Antonio. It's money when you hit him long. The boys are more offensive than my song. No more getting caught with horse. No more losing like my man Al Gore. No more Eagles running up the score, cause the Cowboys don't suck anymore. No more 5-11 high scores. No more Thanksgiving boards. No more shame at the final score, cause the Cowboys don't suck anymore. When James is on the mic and what I say is right, and I said all along, Parcells can do no wrong. It's the 04 Cowboys theme and it's bitchin'. I need some free tickets so I can get it. I'm such a big fan, I got Cowboys on the roofs. I might kill myself if the Cowboys lose. I left my wife and kids and I'm unemployed, so I have more time to watch the Cowboys. No more getting caught with horse. No more losing like my man Al Gore. No more Eagles running up the score, cause the Cowboys don't suck anymore. No more 5-11 high scores. No more Thanksgiving wars. No more shame at the final score, cause the Cowboys don't suck anymore.
Oh my God, I am so funny.
Very nice. How old is that?
2004.
2004. Well, guess what?
Kind of a dark bridge there.
The Cowboys do suck again. The Cowboys.
Hey, they at least made the playoffs. When I made that song, the Cowboys had just gone through 3 seasons in a row of being 5-11.
Yikes.
5-11 is so painful. It's like getting kicked in the nuts.
I caught
and
a
that's
Parcells reference. I caught
yeah.
The Romo one didn't. Romo might get a chance to play. That was at the time. You have to understand he was the third string quarterback. That was ridiculous.
We had only seen him in the preseason. He had never taken an NFL snap when I said that. The reason why Romo even made the song is because the original version of the song was Tyson might even play a game or two, and they had just broke up. So Kelly's like, you got to change that. We can't have Tyson in the song. So I had to change from Tyson might even play a game or two because I like to give him crap about riding the bench. Because when your friend's a Cowboy and he's not a starter, that's what you do.
Hey, at least he's a Cowboy.
Hey, why don't you go sit on the bench, Tyson? He's like, can you get up on this ladder? I can't paint that high. I'm like, why not? He's like, because the ladder's only good for 250 pounds. And I'm like, yeah, and you're like 300. I get it.
320, I believe.
Yeah, he was huge, dude. So he couldn't get on. I think he was scared of heights, and he wanted me to paint the high part. And I don't know. You just have. It's funny when the Dallas Cowboy is the lazy one. But anyway, that's where that came from.
Cleanest uniform in the NFL.
Right.
He's just to compliment him. You have the cleanest uniform in the entire NFL.
No, I saved him a fortune on laundry. That's another thing we used to tell him. Yeah,
absolutely did. All right. So any other Cowboy thoughts? Because I want to go. I got a little thing.
I have a Cowboy thought. Yes, there is no upside. There is no reason to be more optimistic about next season. That should be like the recalcitrant position of any great NFL fan is like, you know what? There's always next year. No, I don't think so. I think we're going to limp through with above average talent that is good enough to not lose their jobs, but not good enough to go to the next level.
All right. So you seem to be in defeatist mode. You are a lifelong Cowboy. How old were you the last time they were truly good? Like the last Super Bowl. How old were you?
I was in the most impressionable and formidable years of my life. So 92, 93, 95, I was a freshman, sophomore, and senior.
Oh man.
Yeah. Or no. I was a freshman in college in 95. That one.
So you and I,
So
and you certainly
sophomore, junior, and freshman in college. Yeah,
you have no memories of the Landry, Staubach, Dorsett era. That
I
was,
do. I do. I
Oh, you do?
remember. Well, when I was a little bitty kid, like I used to have like a little Roger Staubach football cards and say Roger Staubach because my parents would watch it. I don't much remember that actually myself, but there are pictures of me doing it. I do remember Danny White and Tony Dorsett, but that's sort of the infancy of what I remember. That's the first Cowboy team that I remember is Danny White and Tony
Pearson,
Dorsett. Raphael
Randy
Septien,
White.
who diddled kids, didn't he? Didn't Raphael Septien diddle kids or something?
I believe there was.
Allegedly, reportedly. Don't sue me.
No, I believe that's pretty much been
We always knew the kickers were
confirmed.
fruity. Yeah. So no, I went through the horrible season. The season where they went 1-15, the last one before they got Troy Aikman. I was there for that, and I was there for the 3-season turnaround to when they won the Super Bowl from that. And it was the hardest hitting time of my entire life. You know, my football fandom was at an all-time high. This was a time of my life where Thursday night you went to either the middle school or the freshman JV game. There was always a home game. And then Friday you went to wherever the Friday night football was. Saturday was for college football and Sunday was for NFL. And then I remember Monday night, it didn't matter who was on, you were going to watch it.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if they weren't in your division or if they were an AFC team and you're an NFC team. That was like you watched all of those games. So football was 4 out of the 7 days a week every football season for a 10-year span of my life.
So your best memories of the Cowboys line up perfectly with my best memories of my Bears. So I was the same when the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls. I was the same age as
We're
you.
10 years apart, right?
Just-
Exactly.
Yeah. So
you're 60. You were born in 67.
I was 6. Come on, man.
What,
Dude? You know I was born on the day we landed on the moon. Have you not committed that great the day humanity achieved their greatest accomplishment? Have you not committed July 20th, 1969 in memory? The hell's wrong with you?
69. Nice.
With that
Good choice, by the way, of being born.
So I was a junior in high school when the Chicago Bears, the 85 Bears, greatest single season team of all time. I'll fight you on that one. Did you drink? Were you drinking with your friends or did you watch it with your parents? Any of the Cowboys victories? Because I remember we had like a bottle of wine buried in the snow in the back, and we were like 16, 17-year-olds over at a friend's house. We're pulling back the bottle. Go back in the backyard. Why are you kids going in the backyard so much? Cut it out, Mom. Stop dipping into my business. You know, it was one of those kind of situations.
We're certainly not drinking back here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I remember where I was for the first one for sure when they were in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl and Leon Lett got stripped by Don Beebe on the fumble return. You remember that dumb crap? I was in Brandon Turner's living room, man. He lived over by the high school. He was like 5 miles down the road from me. Yeah, that's where I was for the first one.
Was it parent friendly, or were you guys, getting into high school stuff? The kind of stuff
absolutely parent friendly.
Really?
No, I didn't have a drop of alcohol for the first two. For the last one, I remember where I was at now. Now that you say, yeah, you were a college freshman. Oh yeah, now I remember. I was at Jason Mayfield's house. Yeah, well, Jason Mayfield got to live in family housing at ETBU because he and his girl, or now wife, had already had a kid. So they got to live in like the bigger dorms that are for people with kids already. And we're like, wow, what an adult. You have a freaking kid. That's incredible. So that's where we were. And there was alcohol involved.
So on some level, you probably feel the way that I do about my greatest football season ever, that I was just a little bit too young to fully enjoy. I couldn't be out in bars. I couldn't be getting hammered. We couldn't be celebrating with shots. I was lucky enough that during the Bulls' magical run, I was in my 20s. That was my prime. That was like, and I was working at the flagship station for the Bulls and working in the production angle of the Bulls. And, so I felt like I'm a part of the team. Hey, I might get a ring. There's a chance that they might give a ring to the.
It almost makes sense. Yeah.
Never thought that. I'm just kidding. But still, so here's what I'm getting at. Would you say that those are your greatest football memories? I mean, if you
for anyone alive right now, that's anyone's greatest Cowboys memories is Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin. Are you freaking kidding me? And look, there was plenty of
don't
other.
say anybody, because there's people a little bit older than me that would say, "Dude, you don't remember Landry and Staubach and Dorsett." I mean,
Look, okay, I'll remember Dorsett. How many Super Bowls did he win? I think that his first season he was like a backup and he got one. So there's one, but no one else got 3 for sure because they had only won 2 before that. How many did Roger win?
it was a dynasty. Yeah, so you remember the dynasty.
Look, and I totally respect what they did and how many NFC Championship games they went to, the Cowboys, before Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith showed up. And that previous little run that they had before they stunk for the last half of the 80s.
I'll say this, and you'll probably push back on it. Roger Staubach's a better quarterback than Troy Aikman ever was.
Yeah, I'll push back on that.
Yeah, I know you would. You'd be wrong. But, I mean, the statistics don't bear it out. Look at Troy Aikman's career statistics. It's like, why do we act like he's the greatest of all time? These are not impressive.
Didn't he retire when he was 36? And he was...
And that's old for people retiring back then. People only started playing. Tom Brady is an anomaly. Tom Brady is not, the average. Most quarterbacks back then retired at 30, man.
Right, but the guys who have the records are Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady, who all played in their 40s.
Bradshaw retired at 32 years old with 4 Super Bowls in the same era. So,
that's so cool. He retired at 32.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Good
he
for him.
didn't get old. Well, he was broken, And Namath was broken, but he only had the one. Anyway, here's why I wanted to drop those wonderful memories for you, because you are a lifelong Cowboy fan. As I said, I don't want to break down the game. We did enough of that. We talked about, whose play call was it? Whose fault was it? People blaming the referees, which I think is just one of the biggest cop-outs.
The losers lament.
Yeah, I mean, especially since every single team in the league this past year has been victimized at some point or another by referees. The rules are insane.
It feels the same as when you're playing video games and someone goes, "You cheated." I'm like, it's literally a computer.
Yeah, come on, stop it. There's not a team in the league who, in a time when it was at its worst possible moment, their team didn't get called with a flagrant foul because somebody blew on the quarterback a second after, or there's not a guy, there's not a team.
God, New Orleans is the worst about that.
Yeah.
They think the refs are just all against them and the whole league's against them and Roger Goodell hates them and there's a conspiracy. They totally believe that. It's so annoying. Annoying.
There is no honor in that. Not only is there no honor in that, but it's a completely ridiculous situation.
You're embarrassing yourself. Yes.
You're embarrassing yourself. It's like the guy who calls. It's like the guy in the fan who feels he's got to yell at the home plate umpire because he doesn't think that was a strike. I mean, if you don't argue balls and strikes, the referees screw everybody equally. It's not one team that's being targeted. Although I will say this, because of what Dak said yesterday in the press conference, Dak got up on stage, looking fantastic, by the way. I love the way Dak dresses. And a member of the local press asked him what he felt about the fans throwing bottles at the team in the tunnel as they were coming off the field. And Dak said, well, basically, that's terrible. We're out there busting butts for them. And, that's an absolutely horrible way for them to behave. And then a second reporter said, Dak, actually, I believe that the fans were throwing those bottles at the referees, at which point Dak completely reversed course and says, well, then all the credit in the world to them. All the credit in the world. So Dak, on the heels of what is being called a pretty dumb play by Dak Prescott, not getting the ball back to the referee, but instead just handing it to the center. Like you're playing backyard football, right? The referee has to touch the ball. Every NFL quarterback in the league is supposed to know that the referee has to touch and set the ball for the play to be official. Dak handed it to his center and went, let's go. So he did that. That was incredibly stupid. Then he gets up and he basically says that he's all for the referees being bombarded with bottles and cans and all of these things. I mean, if you don't think that's going to blow back on you next year, if you don't think you're not, the first time somebody does a hands to the face on Dak next year, they ain't throwing a flag. They're going to remember that he said that. They're going to be like, yeah, nah, how's it feel? How's it feel, Dak? So that was a little bit upsetting.
I thought it was a good line. I thought he was being cheeky. I thought it was classic comedy. What if it's at the refs? Oh, it's okay then. No, it's a good line. I like that.
Do you think he's funny? I mean, do you think he was trying?
I think that was a good line. I don't think he's generally a funny guy.
I don't think
no.
he was trying to be funny. I think that he was really upset. He was upset.
Well, he's allowed to be. He lost a lot more. I was upset about that game, and I wasn't even the quarterback. I was ready to push him into a wood chipper. I was pretty upset too.
I adore Dak Prescott. I lost some respect for him with that. I thought,
oh, stop it. He was making a funny.
Well, let's see what the league does.
Well, he doesn't really think refs should be pummeled with trash.
I
you
disagree
just
with
caught
you.
him in the heat of the moment.
No, that's
and he
why
was
I
upset
asked
at the time, and he hadn't cooled down. And give him a break, man. Why are we going so hard on this dude? Because he made a joke about the refs getting pummeled with trash.
And this is where I push back. It wasn't a joke, James. He wasn't joking. He was serious.
Okay, well, you got him. He was serious. You caught him when he's at his most upset after he just lost the chance to go for a Super Bowl, and he's going to be called a loser, and they might even draft a quarterback if there's a good opportunity this draft. I mean, there
are no quarterbacks in this draft. There's certainly not going to be one at 25 or wherever the Cowboys are going to be picking. There's going to be nobody. Although we just went through the list, sometimes you can find things. Tom Brady was a 5th rounder. No, look, and I love Dak Prescott.
Hey, maybe they bring Aaron Rodgers back to play with Tom McCarthy. Or Mike McCarthy. Yeah.
The whole reason Mike McCarthy is no longer the Green Bay Packers coach is because Aaron Rodgers hates his guts. So
we're like the only people who can't get him. We're the only ones who couldn't end up with
the only one. Unless you fire Mike McCarthy, and that's a very real possibility now. And I think that of the things that the Cowboys should do today that they didn't do today, firing Mike McCarthy should be the first. Mike McCarthy is not a good coach.
I agree, and it's the same thing that's going on with Belichick and Brady. Clearly, Aaron Rodgers' ridiculous success in getting the first-round bye basically proves that all the success Green Bay had was not because of Mike McCarthy as much as it was Aaron Rodgers.
No,
we just picked up the accidental good fortune coach that was behind Aaron Rodgers, and we're finding out the hard way that we need to move on.
The success of the Green Bay Packers was because Ron Wolf and Mike Holmgren built a team around Brett Favre that was a monster team, and they restocked it every year, and then they just slid Aaron Rodgers into that team that was built by Wolf and Holmgren, and Mike McCarthy just luckily ascended to the head coaching position. And after a few years, Aaron Rodgers realized that Mike McCarthy is a garbage coach and demanded that he be gone. And that's why he's the Cowboys coach now. Now, when the Cowboys hired McCarthy, I went, oh my God, Jerry Jones just made a monumental mistake. He bought a guy with a name because Jerry Jones is all about the brand, and that's all he wanted. An old, established coach with a name that would resonate in NFL circles. However, people in Green Bay knew, people in Chicago knew, people in Minnesota knew, the people who played the Green Bay Packers saw that Mike McCarthy was not a great coach. He had great talent that he inherited from, as I said, the teams that Wolf and Holmgren built together. But certainly, and they got to look, they fairly quickly, they got tired of his nonsense and he was gone. Now, as I said, I want to speak just a little bit here. We won't go on a whole long time about it. But if we're talking about the problems with the Cowboys, I don't want to talk about the ins and outs. I don't want to get a chalkboard. I don't want to do X's and O's. I don't want to do any coach speak or professorial rants. I want to talk more existentially about the problem with the Cowboys. And I think that I am well suited to speak like this because my heart is not in this. My heart did not get stomped on yesterday. I enjoy the Cowboys because I absolutely love this city. And my son is a Cowboy fan. I am a reluctant Cowboy supporter. I have been a part of this team now for 20 years. I've been excited. I've never had my heart break. I've seen them. I have been in bars when everybody around me is crying, when shit hits the fan, and I have gone, that's a shame. That's basically the extent.
Anyways, yeah.
The Cowboys winning were good for my business. When the city was having fun, what we used to do was all the more crucial. We could have you're writing the silly songs. We're going out to bars. We're having parties. It was great. Now, since having a son, a 12-year-old son who's born and raised here and he's a football fanatic, he is a diehard Cowboy fan. So I will say in the last 3 years, I have become recommitted to I'm not even going to say I pretend anymore, because I really love Zeke. I really love Dak. There are parts of this team that I just adore. But again, let's talk about the existential problem that looms over the Dallas Cowboys organization like a giant rain cloud. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's Jerry Jones, because it ain't Jerry Jones. There are 30 teams in the league that would kill to have an owner like Jerry Jones. Let's look at Jerry Jones's crimes, shall we? He gets every free agent you need. He spends money. He's got the absolute best facilities. His practice facilities are the envy of the entire NFL. And all he does is put everything in place for this team to be as good as they possibly can. It is a cop-out to say that this is Jerry Jones. I have an ownership group in Chicago who are terrible. They are bean counters. They do not... It is obvious to me that Jerry Jones lives and dies with this team. You have a billionaire owner in this team whose ego is tethered directly to the wins and losses of the Dallas Cowboys. And that is something that you got to stop saying, Jerry Jones needs to go. First of all, kids, he ain't going anywhere. He owns the team. Jerry Jones is here for the duration. And you should at least take a deep breath and go, well, at least he spends money. At least he's not like all of these other guys. If there is a high-end free agent that's out there, you better believe that Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys are always up in the running to acquire this player. Now, does he sometimes overstep? I think he does. I think that maybe the idea of the owner of the team showing up in the coach's office on Monday, putting his feet up on the desk, and then demanding certain things is a problem. That's a real problem. I don't know how you're ever going to get a coach that is going to independently try and lead this locker room filled with men with the specter of Jerry and his loafers in your face on the desk looming after every loss. Okay, but that said, as I said, it's more of an existential argument about what the problem with the Cowboys is. It's the Dallas Cowboys brand. It is the brand of America's team that is stopping this team. Pugs, what do you mean? How can you say that? I touched on this a little bit during the High Noon show today. This whole America's team thing, it's arrogant, it's absurd, and it's the reason that this team has choked in its biggest moments since their great glory runs of the 1990s. When a player comes and puts on the Dallas Cowboy uniform, from the moment that they show up in DFW, the minute they step off the plane, they are treated by we the people. This isn't Jerry Jones. It ain't Jerry. It's us. They are treated by we the people. They are treated by local media. They are treated by absolutely everybody in this town like they're the goddamn Beatles, like they have already won. Players come into this town. They wear that Dallas Cowboys jersey. They look at that trophy case from 30 years ago. They see the beautiful trophies, and they spend the first 10 weeks of the season with all of this talent. And I think I disagree with you on this because you said that you had a problem with some of the talent acquisitions. I think the talent is brilliant. I think Jerry loads up on paper one of the most talented teams in the entire league. But these guys play with no urgency. Most penalized team in the league this year. We saw what penalties did to the team yesterday. This team is not disciplined. This team walks through the first 10 weeks of the season getting by on pure talent, and then by the time it's the third quarter of the first round of the playoffs, they're down 20 points, and they go, oh, wait a second. They're not just going to hand us this? Oh, wait a second. We actually have to play? And I think that the specter of the whole America, how about them Cowboys? America's team, all of that bullshit mentally mind F's these young players into thinking that just simply putting on the Dallas Cowboy jersey means that they're already champions. These guys can't stop for gas at the local gas station without being treated like a member of the 90s Bulls. Oh my God, it's a third string lineman. Are you kidding me? There are not other cities in America that treat their players like this, especially players that haven't accomplished anything. The expectation and the entitlement of the rank and file Dallas Cowboy fan is absurd. They win 3 games in the month of October, and this city is already putting up Super Bowl or bust billboards. That screws with the heads of players. They don't have a chip on their shoulder. We're America's team. That is some nonsense, man. And
well, then how did Troy Aikman do it 3 times with Emmett and Michael? Like how did they not get swept up into the hype? If you have a really good team, it doesn't matter how much hype's around them.
no,
They're
no,
going
no.
to
Well, I'll
damn
tell
win
you
it
how
anyway.
they did it. They
You don't
did
think Tom Brady got swept up in a little bit of hype and during
no,
the 2 decades of New
God,
England?
Have you ever met a Boston fan? Are you kidding me? The Boston fans don't love you. The Boston fans crap on you until you've won something. As opposed to here in Dallas, they treat, like I said, they'll treat a third string special teams guy like he's a member of the 90s Bulls.
Okay,
Now,
but how do you explain some of these other droughts?
let me answer your question.
Okay,
How do I
okay.
explain the Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin team? That was a completely new team. That team was purchased. Tex Schramm was no longer calling the shots. Tom Landry was let go. They had gone through a decade plus of absolute futility when Jerry Jones took over the team. Jerry was hungry. Jerry was not the Jerry that he is today. I don't know that Jerry felt comfortable walking down to Jimmy Johnson's office on a Monday after a loss, putting his shoes up in his face and going, how are we going to fix what happened? There wasn't the same vibe. That team did have a chip on its shoulder. That Jerry Jones walked in here and all he heard was, well, this is going to suck for the next couple of decades because Landry's gone, Schramm is gone, the great teams of the Cowboys, that's dead forever. They had a chip. They had something that they were playing for, and they became a dynasty. Ever since that dynasty, this team has bought into the hype. This team has bought into the echo chamber of local media who just loves everything that they do. And I'm telling you, it gets into the heads of these players. Can I tell you how you fix it? I can tell you what I would do tomorrow.
Please do.
Fire Mike McCarthy and bring in Brian Flores.
There you go.
Brian Flores was just let go by the Miami Dolphins. You know why he was let go by the Miami Dolphins? Because he's a dick. Because he don't give no F. Because he is a guy that yells at people. He is a disciplinarian. Mike McCarthy is at the tail end of his career. His best days, and he knows this, were spent with the Green Bay Packers. This is the second and final act of his coaching career, and he's just cashing a check. He doesn't want to make Jerry mad, so he's not going to push back on anything ridiculous that Jerry might, demand. Mike McCarthy is trying to. Mike McCarthy is like Wade. Remember Wade Wilson? Do you remember Wade Phillips at the end? Wade Phillips was just like
coasting, totally coasting.
I'll do whatever you want, Jerry. Just don't fire me. You got to bring in a young, tough, in-your-face guy like Brian Flores, and then Jerry's got to do his part. And Jerry's part is, I'm ashamed at how weak-minded my team is. I'm ashamed at how undisciplined this team is. And Brian Flores got to cut some people. Brian Flores got to build up again, maybe from the ground up. Maybe you need to completely They need a dominator. They need a coach that is not going to be afraid to push the players too hard, because Jerry Jones has an open door policy with players. The player feels like the coach is being mean to him, they can go to Jerry. And, Jerry loves his players. I mean, it all comes, but it is, Pugs, you just said it's not Jerry. It's not Jerry. I like I say, 30 other teams in the league would love to have an owner like Jerry Jones. This guy wants to win, but there does have to be a commitment on the part of the Dallas Cowboys hierarchy and a new coaching staff and the players. That commitment has to be to change the way they walk around. They walk around like they're the great Cowboys of the 70s and the 90s, and they're not. I mean, how many first-round exits from the playoffs are we supposed to? I know I'm going on and on. I'm going on.
Does Brian Flores put up with the Jerry Jones? Do we not ever get the coach that we need because they're not willing to put up with the Jerry Jones? Because they go and have an interview and they say, well, can I have my own draft picks, or are you going to tell me what I have to pick? Do I get to pick my own team, or do I have to play with the pieces that you have selected for me? And do we run off good coaches for that? Do we only get the doddering old fools in the twilights of their career like Bill Parcells and Wade Phillips after they've already done everything they're going to do, and now Mike McCarthy?
Yeah. Well, never forget that Jerry Jones chased off Sean Payton. Sean Payton should have been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, but he wasn't a marquee name at the time. He wasn't. They went out and got, Jerry likes his big name. I heard of that guy. I mean, that's what Jerry likes. Jerry's not going to give a chance. People I heard today, they're talking about, well, McCarthy sees he needs to leave and they need to make Kellen Moore that. That ain't going to happen. Jerry already tried that with Jason Garrett. That already happened. He's not going to elevate some guy who's been the long-standing offensive coordinator, and Kellen Moore hasn't even been long-standing. To answer your question, can Brian Flores do this? I don't know. Maybe there's another guy out there like Flores, but that's what they need, and it must be a commitment to a partnership on behalf of the Cowboys upper management and whatever they do with this coaching staff. There must be a commitment to letting people do their jobs without the specter of the guillotine hanging over the neck of the head coach. Jerry, stay out of the coach's office. I know. Jerry?
Not happening. Listen, dude, as much as I would like to beat the guy up, I can easily admit that if I owned the Dallas Cowboys, I would be all up in their grill. I'd be, please draft this guy. Come on. It would be my toy. What did I just spend $1 billion on if I can't even play with it? What, you going to spend $1 billion on a car you don't get to drive?
But you can't be. And you know who does it the way I do it? Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick. How's that worked out for them? Bob Kraft is next to Jerry Jones.
That wasn't Bill Belichick. We've already established that was Brady.
No. Look, Brady. No, we didn't establish that. We questioned who was more responsible. That. Oh, so Bill Belichick isn't the greatest NFL football coach of the past 40 years. Is that what you're saying? Of course he is. Come on, man.
He's the most successful one, but it wasn't because of him. It was more because of Brady. Someone else would be the greatest football coach of the last 20 years if they had Brady.
Bill Belichick is an a-hole. Bill Belichick doesn't get jacked around by his owner, Bob Kraft. Speaking of which, that's the job of the Asian masseuse. That's who jacks around Bob Kraft.
We know who's supposed to jack him around, yes. Jupiter, Florida. Very cosmopolitan.
But that's the dynamic that needs to take hold. You need a coach that's going to come into this team and tell them, you guys are trash. You ain't won nothing. I know you go out on a Wednesday night and you find yourself in a bar and you take home the prettiest girl and they all treat you like you're a 5-time Super Bowl champion. That shit's got to stop in a guy like Brian Flores. And, this is a bit, I'm pushing it because I want Brian Flores out of the mix. I don't want Brian Flores to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. And there's a lot of talk that he's going to come to the Bears, and I don't want him. Not because he's not a tremendous coach. He is. He is a tremendous coach. And any team that has an opening is lucky to have the availability of a guy who has a body of 3 years with the Miami Dolphins, turn that franchise around. But he got fired because Flores couldn't get along with Ross, the owner, and Greer, the general manager, and because he was mean to Tua, because he chewed Tua out. And the owner and the general manager took the side of Tua, and now a coach who was on his way to being a coach of the year at one point finds himself out of a job. I think that is exactly the kind of coach that the Dallas Cowboys need, but that is not the kind of coach the Chicago Bears need. We're in two different places. The Cowboys have incredible talent. The Chicago Bears, we're building. So when I say that I want the Cowboys to get Brian Flores off the market, it's not because I don't think he's a good coach. I just don't think he's the right coach to do what we need done in Chicago. But that's how I would fix the Cowboys. I would fire McCarthy tomorrow. Kellen Moore's possibly gone, although I don't know if the performance of his offense on Sunday has affected his ability, to be a top-tier choice for any coaching open. Dan Quinn, I think, is almost assuredly gone. I think Dan Quinn is definitely going to get another shot in the NFL. He was a successful head coach with Atlanta. I mean, he took them to a Super Bowl where they lost, and crazy enough, to the Patriots. Mm-hmm. But I think Dan Quinn's going to get another shot. I think you have an opportunity to now bring in an entirely new coaching staff. And if you can just get a guy, and if you can get the owner, Jerry Jones, to lay off. And you know what else might help? You know what else might help here? And this is something that the Cowboys have never had. There needs to be a layer of insulation between the head coach and the owner. There needs to be a GM in Dallas. There needs to be a general manager who is the insulation between the head coach
and go ahead. What color unicorn would you like to go with that?
But no, I know. Look, I know that based upon how we have witnessed Jerry Jones execute the failures of his franchise, that doesn't seem like a viable option. But that's why I'm begging for there to now be a commitment to change and understanding that this idea that how about them Cowboys? The Cowboys are an embarrassment, Jerry. Your team embarrasses you, and it breaks the heart of everybody here in the Metroplex every single season for the last 10 years. There must be an acknowledgement that something needs to change. And Jerry, you're a wonderful owner. I can't make this any clearer. I keep saying there are a ton of other teams in the NFL fan bases that would kill to have an owner as dedicated and whose ego is directly tied to the wins and losses of their team the way it is with Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones just needs to let the coaches come in and kick these players' ass, because Mike McCarthy doesn't do that. Mike McCarthy doesn't get in Dak's face. He doesn't get in Zeke's face. He doesn't get in Amari's face. Now, maybe Dan Quinn does. Dan Quinn's a very type A guy. I don't know if Kellen Moore is. Kellen Moore seems honestly like a soft boy, but he's like a doughboy.
Like you guys, can we run the halfback screen this play? You guys, so you want to just line up in a
right?
line up in a trips right, a bunch on the right. We'll have Schultz on the left side. We'll just dump it off to Zeke in the flat. Hey, is Zeke done? What's going on with him?
Yeah, I don't think Zeke. I certainly wouldn't.
It's an incredibly short shelf life, though.
But that's what we said. Running backs are the big lighters of the NFL now. I mean, I think that the Cowboys have amazing talent, but they don't have the chip. You know who's got a chip? You know who's got a chip on their shoulder?
Clements.
The Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills team have a massive chip on their shoulder. They take nothing for granted. They come out from the first snap of the first quarter and they punch you in the face. Whereas the Cowboys are still glory timing it. Or that's what they need. Cowboys, and this is how I'll end. Strip it down, stop the America's team absurdity, okay? And make sure that these players are hungry, because I don't see hungry players. I see desperate players in the fourth quarter when they realize that they're down by 20 points. I see desperate, but I don't see hungry. I don't see guys that want to put the dagger into the heart of the opposition in the second quarter. I don't see that. I don't see it with this team. So there you go. That's basically my rant.
All right, my final thoughts as an eternal Cowboys fan and usually an optimist on most other topics. I see no reason to get too excited about the Cowboys' prospects for next season, because when you line up all the franchises in order of cap space, who has the most and who is under the cap, or who is over the cap the most, the Cowboys rank 30th out of 32. They're already $21 million over the cap going into 2022. So what are they going to do in the draft? Squat. What are they going to do in the offseason? They're going to have to shed expensive players, which means they're going to have to shed some talent. They're going to have to make some trades they don't want to make in order to sign whoever they draft in April. And there is no reason to believe that 2022 is probably going to be worse than 2021, because they've been so bad with cap management over the last few years.
You know, what is the Cowboys' cap space situation?
Negative $21 million as everything stands right now. And we kind of know, because this is the snapshot at the end of the season.
Okay. Well,
we're $21 million over.
Well, that ain't good. That ain't a good place to be in.
Only two teams are worse than that. Green Bay, which is betting it all on this season, and the Saints, who are like $70 million over the cap, and they're just trash. They had to unload all the rest of Drew Brees' contract onto this year and do some other dumb stuff. Yeah.
Let me show you something. I want to move before we sign out of here and end the show. Where is it? Okay. You know things are bad when this is happening. And this happened today. This is all right. I'll give you a little Cowboy Nation. I love you dearly. I really do. And I would love to be in a town where they are good again, because there's nothing better about living in DFW than when the Cowboys are awesome. But when O.J. Simpson is trolling
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. All right, all morning, it's the Cowboys. It seems to be like enough with the Cowboys. Come on. The game shouldn't even been close if it wasn't for some 49er miscues in the fourth quarter. Garoppolo missing Ayuk wide open, throwing an interception at the worst possible time, and actually snapping the ball before the line was settled on a quarterback sneak. If none of that had happened, the 49ers would have ran away with the football game. And I'm sure Dak, after seeing things today, is going to apologize to those officials. Dak was wrong. They were right. Seems like they need a new coach. I got a suggestion. Go get Flores, the guy that just left Miami. I think he learned his lesson. He had some, I guess, people problem in Miami.
Hold on. Let me stop him there.
Well, he's not wrong.
No, he's not. And I just pitched that. I didn't pitch it because he said it. I did. I was actually thinking about what kind of coach they need. But look at me and OJ, simpatico. We both agree. We're both in the same mind space.
Yeah, you're pretty much best
That's
friends.
why he's out. He's a winning coach. In Dallas, he won't have to worry about personnel and people. Trevor Jones has done a great job bringing personnel in there. All he has to do is coach the football team. And I guarantee you, he will make them a much tougher football team. You know, I kind of want to say enough, Bruce Willis, I guess, to paraphrase him in Pulp Fiction, enough for the sorry poor Cowboys. Let's move on and talk about the prosperous Buffalo Bills. Go Buffalo. Congratulations. I still got that hope.
Could you imagine?
He seems like such a swell guy, doesn't he? He seems like so nice.
This is why I adore the Buffalo Bills. They are such a sad sack team. I mean, this is their greatest player in history.
Not Thurman Thomas, not Jim Kelly.
Well, they will say that, but okay, certainly Jim Kelly deserves a look.
No.
And Bruce
O.J.
Smith.
Simpson is clearly their best player in franchise history. He's probably the 5th best running back in NFL history.
Oh my God, it just gets worse and worse for the poor Bills.
That Buffalo one day will be playing the 49ers in a Super Bowl. Hey, there it is.
Those are the two teams that he played for in his career, so he's pitching for a Super Bowl between his two teams.
There's a chance, and I would look forward to that. I was looking at something. Do you realize that Mark Sanchez, Jake Delhomme.
Okay, first of all, OJ, you're supposed to be looking for the people who killed your wife. What are you doing spending time looking at football stats?
Wait, he didn't find them yet?
No, still looking in between looking up football stats and dreaming about a 49ers Bills Super Bowl.
All of these guys have more playoff wins over the last 25 years than the Cowboys. Why are we talking about the Cowboys?
Wait, who did he say? Hold on.
I was looking at something. Do you realize that Mark Sanchez, Jake Delhomme, Brad Johnson, all of these guys have more playoff wins over the last 25 years?
That is a stabbingly.
That's a brutal takedown right there. He is right. He is right. Jake Delhomme, Mark Sanchez, and Brad Johnson. Oh man.
That cuts right to the heart of it.
Over the last 25.
Well done. Well done.
Ouch. The Cowboys.
Well played, sir.
Why are we talking about the Cowboys? Enough of the Cowboys. I see where Doritos, they have this new flavor. Doritos. It has a picture of Dak Prescott on the bag, and it's called Nacho Year. I'm just saying, guys.
Juice.
Take care. Can't wait.
He nailed it,
weekend.
didn't he? He nailed it.
Juice. Come on now.
Sick burn.
You should have a podcast. Shouldn't you have a podcast? OJ Simpson podcast would be a hit. Or a YouTube channel. Why, God. Somebody's got to get in his ear. Somebody's going to say, Juice, there is a hunger for your takes. You, my friend, are a curiosity. People want to know what's going on in your mind. You ain't never going to be on the NFL Today again. You ain't never going to be on ESPN. So make your own YouTube channel. Juice on Football. Bloodsport. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. We'll work it through, Juice. Call me. We'll get you on the Radio Misfits podcast and live streaming network. All right.
So let me leave you with one O.J. Simpson statistic. In 1973, this is the NFL record. It's the one NFL record he owns. 143 yards rushing per game.
Wait, say that again.
That was his average. His average rushing yards per game in 1973 is the NFL record. It's the only one he still owns. 143 yards per game.
The Juice, man. I'm telling you. I'm too young. I'm not old enough to truly remember him. I remember
you were 4.
I remember him more of as a pitch man. I remember 70s and 80s. I remember him as Nordberg. from the Naked Gun movies. That's how I know.
That's
Jimmy.
where I know him from. Yeah.
I know him for something else too. What else do I know him? Oh yeah, murdering his wife and that Goldman kid. That's the other thing. That's pretty much all I know.
Yeah, basically sawing off their heads barehanded.
And then getting on a plane and flying to Chicago.
There's blood on him, blood on his glove, blood on the Bronco, blood on, yeah.
All right, James. Hey, man, let me tell you something. Here's what we have to be happy about. Here's a little something that we got going for us here in the DFW Metroplex. The Mavs are getting hot. The Mavs look like they're Fat Luka looks like he's starting to warm up a little bit. He really is Fat Luka. What is going on with him? He looks so out of shape for the first. That's just so thick. I don't know, maybe he's finding the NFL competition to be a grind. He wanted to beef up a little bit. Doesn't matter because the Mavs are getting hot. That's good. We love that. And remember, I said it here first, people. The Texas Rangers, they're going to be ballers now. Texas Rangers have something. Texas Rangers, baseball.
Really?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm telling you, they had the best free. Before the lockout, here's the problem. Rangers are loaded for bear. They went out and got 3 of the top 10 free agents on the market. They're loaded with superstars. They got young pitching. They got young players. They got young, talented players because that's what happens when you suck for a decade. You start to acquire all of these great young players who make their way through the minors. I am telling you, I am. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the Cowboys. I'm a fan of the Cowboys because of my boy, and I'm a fan of the Cowboys because life is just always better in this neck of the woods when the Cowboys are competitive. But I'm a Ranger fan. I like the Rangers. Well, I'm a baseball guy. People know. I like the Rangers. So we got that to looking forward to. We're gonna enjoy an entire summer of Ranger baseball. And then we're going to circle back and we'll have to deal with whatever the hell's going on with the Cowboys next year. James, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
It's going to be
See you next season, yeah.
Yeah, there he goes. That has been our Cowboy wrap-up show. Probably heard a dozen better, but what do you want from us? That's what we do around here. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go watch The Righteous Gemstones. That didn't work. I was trying to shoot it at you, and that just didn't work well. Tomorrow, circle back. Come back with me tomorrow at noon for what we call the High Noon Show. Every day at noon, we get together here and we talk about all the things that are trending. Trending topics, hot topics, current events, anything that's popping off, as the kids say. Popping off. Hey, Pugs, no kid has said popping off in 20 years. I'm old, folks. What can I tell you? It ain't easy being me. The absence of ice and darkly colored liquor tell me that we should wrap this up. Nest. I am on a never-ending, yes, he's on a never-ending quest. A never-ending quest. All right, love you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. Hope you can stick around. Yeah. Oh, didn't do the applause. There you go. Bye, everybody.